Do not get distracted by the debt ceiling debate. I know there's rumors and there's, we figured it out. We're going to have it. The debt ceiling, as we said from day one, Nolan Bauerle even talked about it and said it's boring, which I forget him saying that over the last few weeks, but he did say it, I believe today or last day or so, and said, I told them that people not to watch it and care about it. It'll be boring. I don't believe it'll be boring, I didn't believe it would be boring. I thought it'd be pretty entertaining. And it seems like it won't be as entertaining as it could be, whether it goes into a week of default or 2 weeks into default. But we here have said the entire time that staying a couple steps, 5 steps, 10 steps ahead of the herd here, that they're going to raise the debt ceiling, the debt limit. There's literally no other outcome. This is how the debt-based system works. You have to raise the debt ceiling. I think it's like 72 times you've raised the debt ceiling in the last 100 years since the Federal Reserve came into fruition, obviously, and the income tax at the same time, ironically. Temporary measures, right? Temporary measures was the income tax. A temporary measure to fund World War I, and a temporary measure was the Federal Reserve itself, suspending the convertibility of gold. A temporary measure was the bailouts, and that continues to happen. And then there's another temporary measure which might be getting rid of the debt ceiling or doing something, I forget. I mean, as Ronald Reagan said, there's no more permanent measure than a temporary government plan. This is truly mind-blowing. And again, when you don't understand, as I didn't in the 2000s, in just in the political realm, and thinking this is like a fight you could win, when you're in the Coliseum, when you're one of the two gladiators in the Coliseum, you don't understand that there is no winning. Like, you're going to die no matter what. You're the entertainment. And that's what political pawns are. That's what political people are. That's what people who are in politics are. That's what people who care about politics are. You're just political fodder. You're just human fodder. You are the laughing stock. You are the joke. You are the butt of the jokes. That's what politics are. That's what politicians are. They're the useful idiots. The people who care about politics or getting wrapped up in them are useful idiots. Now, at the same time, you must be involved in politics. I'm a staunch believer in that. So it's it's contrast here. We actually have a Spaces coming up. Me and BJ Dichter, who wrote the Honking for Freedom, who ran the Canadian Trucker Convoy. He was on Tucker Carlson talking about this, I believe, numerous times. We have a Spaces coming up, a podcast, Wednesdays at noon Eastern time, probably run for an hour or two, talking about politics and the bridge of politics to Bitcoin and why Bitcoin is preservation of wealth and property rights and freedom, and how that ties into the military, obviously, and why people serve, but also your freedoms and politics and Bitcoin and where the intersection lies. Because I do believe at the end of the day, if you are not involved in politics, as Plato says, you will be governed by your inferiors. But the people who take lock, stock, and barrel what politics are and think like, I'm going to go fight and win this red and blue battle, you're missing the forest from the trees. You're missing the forest from the trees. You are missing that it's not red versus blue, it's the state versus you. So you need to understand that when you're going to vote, when you're understanding politics, when you're getting involved in politics, when you're getting in your local, politics is local, when you're getting into your local PTA and your local mayoral and township races and understanding and going there and being active and maybe running and being part of that group, everything else takes care of itself. It's bottom up. Kind of like rules without rulers, like Bitcoin. If you take care of the root problems, which I am a massive proponent, I've joked on here many times, I'm going to change this possibly to Band-Aids on bullet holes. We are a society obsessed with putting six-pack ab tapes on, popping pills, Band-Aids on bullet holes. We never get to the core issue. Because if we get to the core issue, then people lose lots of money, right? Big pharma loses money, big agriculture, big government, and on down the line. They lose lots of money. If you go do the right thing and put in the work, they lose a lot of money. They don't want you doing the little things. They don't want you putting in the work because then they're out of business. That's not a good plan for them. If you took care of your money, banks would be out of business. ETF, brokerage accounts would be out of business. All these people would be out of business if you took care of these things and if you understood what was going on. They don't want that. Wall Street doesn't want that. These people do not want this. This is why I talk about this all the time. This is the premise of everything we do. So being involved in politics to make sure you're not governed by your inferiors, but also understanding that politics itself is a joke. It's a laughingstock. So you have to be able to hold two opposing points in your head at the same time, or else you're going to have a very hard time in life. You're not going to get it. You're going to be the laughingstock of things. We have to understand that you must be involved locally with politics, and it will then create a foundation. That way, the things all the way up the chain, whether it's state and then federal politics, is then turned, and the truth is coming out more. This is what Bitcoin helps do. When you fix the money, you fix the world. When you fix the money, you fix politics. Right? You start sucking the air out of the system, and the politicians have less and less control when you take the issuance of money back into the hands of the people. Right now, the government has control of the issuance of the currency between the Treasury and the Federal Reserve. Well, good luck with that. We've seen how the last 100 years have played out. The century of central banking has played out right with the century of total world war. Doesn't end well. It's not good, guys. It's not a good, we have 100 years of history in that last 100 and 110 years. So we need to get smarter. We need to get better at that. So that will start Wednesday. And we need to start understanding that link. So we're going to start trying to bridge that gap and start understanding that. So the debt ceiling itself, coming back to this full circle to end this video, is a joke. Debt-based system, it's the dollar is debt. It's backed by nothing. It's a liability that you think is an asset. And they are going to always raise the debt ceiling because they have to. If they don't, the system implodes. If we had an equity-based system based on capital, true capital, like with Bitcoin, or it could be gold and silver too, then you could pay off your debts. You would have to pay off your debts. You'd want to pay off your debts. But in this system, a debt-based system, it's a bondage system. It's a slavery-based system. It has to go more and more into debt. And the only way to win is to buy assets. That's why we hedge. We buy Bitcoin and we buy gold and silver, food, energy, water, guns, ammo, lead, firearms, land, and build community. Because we are hedging and saying, no, we're going to become our own sovereign individual, our own central bank. We're going to become our own person, our own family, our own entity, our own trust. And we are going to do things the way they should be done. And we're going to live in reality in the way that we know they need to be done. And quite honestly, this is what a lot of the banks do. This is what the Rothschilds do. This is what these families do. They own land, gold, art. A lot of them probably own Bitcoin now. They build massive networks of community. These people are doing those things. And yet they're not taught in school purposely, right? Because they own the education system. They've owned it. Rockefeller, General Board of Education, 1902, started changing the entire system 120 years ago. This is a plan. So that's why we're here doing this. Many others, just like me here, just like you here, doing these same things, building educational plans. We have books coming out. I've got children's books coming out. We've got the Bitcoin trading cards going on. Our books are going to be coming out under that platform as well for children. I have a bunch of young children. They read the Tuttle Twins, all kinds of stuff, right? I quiz them. We work stuff. They know more about money and in the political system than the average person does, the American founding. The books are going to come out in the next probably 4 to 6 months, probably next 4 months or so, 5 months. We just need the art form. And they're going to be coming out. So that way we have real education because it ain't coming from government-run schools. So the debt ceiling was always a joke. It's always going to get raised. It's a political theater. It's all it is. Total political theater. If you get caught up in it, you are wasting your time. Understand the game is not red versus blue. It's a state versus you. We need to get educated and start suffocating the life force out of the politicians and the one world government people, period. So I appreciate you. Appreciate you coming to this TED Talk. Please share this out because the algorithm hates truth. It's not financial advice. It's freedom advice. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.